coming to you from Las Vegas. This is known as Warzone Live, Monday through Friday. Now it's 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Great to be with you. All kinds of things happening. Economic issues are my number one thing. Border issues are my number one thing. DEI issues are my number one thing. We had Don Trump Jr. yesterday, and we finish up with Laura Trump today. Laura, Wayne Allyn, how are you? We got a big guest and a great interview today with Dr. Oz with us right now.
Good to see you. I like your tie, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Great to see you. Always great to have you on the show.
Wayne Allyn Root, happy to see you again on the cutting edge of things on your show, whether it's medical, political, you name it, you're on top of it. So just great to hear that. Great to hear that.
So wonderful to be with you again, Wayne. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be with you tonight.
It's great to see you, Wayne. How you been?
Anytime, Wayne. Great to see you.
Hey, Wayne. Great to see you, brother.
Hey, Wayne. Good to be with you.
Wayne, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Lots going on.
Doing great, Wayne. Glad to be here.
Well, thanks, Wayne. I don't see myself as a hero. I'm just trying to keep this community safe.
This is The War Zone, the official podcast of the Gateway Pundit. 2.5 million unique daily readers. Also on Rumble under Wayne Root, Wayne Allyn Root, or Warzone. Then on weekends, we got our big show, America's Top 10 Countdown on Real America's Voice TV. While everybody else is giving opinions, I give solutions. And some of them Trump takes, some of them he doesn't. I wish he'd take all of them. This is the Mainstream media. No more mainstream media allowed in. Only Mainstream media, meaning raw truth and in-your-face, mother trucker information. The Root's on fire. Welcome to my show, Warzone Live. Monday through Friday, official podcast, The Gateway Pundit, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific.
Warning! The Root's on fire! You're about to experience the most high-octane, pedal-to-the-metal controversial show of your life. Please buckle up and hold on tightly. This station is not responsible for injuries. This is Wayne Allyn Root, raw and unfiltered, with America's favorite conservative rock star, direct from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas. What time is it? It's time for war! Here's your host, 100% raw truth, 100% American made, the warrior, Wayne Allyn Root.
All right, my guest is here, Garland Favorito, co-founder of Voter GA, as in Georgia. Voter GA's been on the show before, a repeat performance. He leads the election integrity issue in Georgia for over 20 years. He is a career IT professional, so he knows what he's talking about. These computers are stealing elections. VoterGA.org is his web address, votergaforgeorgia.org. And Garland is on the show. Hey, Garland, how are you?
Wayne, great to be back with you again. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. You know, I talk about stolen elections all day long. It's one of the reasons I've been banned and shadow banned and canceled all over the United States. I don't think anyone's ever been banned more than me. Between stolen elections and COVID vaccine is a killer, and Dr. Fauci deserves the death penalty for mass murder, I've been banned more than anyone in the United States for telling the truth. Just sticking my neck out there and telling the truth. You recently said that Georgia's own records show that U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff did not legitimately make the 2020 runoff, so he should not be a United States Senator. Explain what the records show.
Well, Wayne, on our voterga.org studies tab that anybody can go and see, you can go and look up our security recommendation study. And on page 18, I believe it is, of that, you'll find a Secretary of State's official election reporting for the morning after the election. And it shows that the runoff between, at this point in time, it was a general election between David Perdue, former Senator David Perdue, and Jon Ossoff. Perdue was holding an insurmountable 78,000 vote lead when there were only 13 precincts left to count in Fulton County. 158 of 159 counties had reported. And at that time, according to the Secretary of State's own numbers, David Perdue had a 78,000 vote lead over the runoff margin. Now, that's not just, his total lead was even more than that. But that was over the runoff margin because there was a three-way race, and the Libertarian candidate had about 2% of the vote. So he had made that up, plus another 78,000 on top of that. And there were only, according to Secretary of State's website, 78. He had 78,000 margin vote lead with only 13 precincts left to count. That's maybe 20,000 votes. if you stretch that out, maybe 25,000. So basically, that was an insurmountable lead, and the president of the United States had a similar lead at that time.
Right.
But Secretary Ravensburger allowed 200,000 phantom votes to be added into the totals after the election, when he had already gone on NBC Today to say that it was a done deal, and essentially said that President Trump at that time had an insurmountable need as well. However, we had 200,000 or 300,000 votes, phantom votes injected, and that changed the outcome of both the presidential race and the U.S. Senate race here in Georgia.
And Garland, what's so amazing is it's not even just that he injected 200,000 phantom votes, which is stunning and horrible and fraud and stealing elections, but you would never imagine the 200,000 votes would be like 200,000 to 0 in favor of the Democrats, but they are. When they inject these votes, it's 200,000 to 0. Maybe to make it interesting, they make it 199 to 1,000. But the point is, it's so ridiculous, over the top. There's no other, even in like pure black Democrat neighborhoods, there's no 200,000 to 0 in the history of America in anywhere. But there is when they steal elections. They stick 200,000 late votes in. They're mail-in ballots with no voter ID, and they're all for one side, Democrats. How is that not screaming like a Vegas neon sign? I live in Vegas. You know, stolen, stolen, stolen. This is insane that we allow this to keep going.
Yeah, well, you saw the same thing in Los Angeles, where
Spencer Pratt.
Neitha Raman comes back from 8 points down. She gives a crying election concession speech on election night, and then miraculously makes the runoff out there, besting both Spencer Pratt and Karen Bass. Miraculously saw the same thing out there. But yeah, we've had this in Georgia. It's just unbelievable, and for this reason, no votes should be allowed to be counted after Election Day.
Of course not.
We even have, UOCAVA votes can be delivered on time. We have the technology today. There's no need to even accept those. And by UOCAVA, I mean foreign and overseas and military. Those can come in on time. There we have all kinds of techniques and procedures we can use to ensure that all votes are in on Election Day and nothing else is counted after Election Day.
Well, of course, that's the way they're stealing elections, Garland. That's the way they do it. They get the count on election night. And now they know exactly what number they have to beat. They know you're up by 20,000. They know they've got to put 30,000 in that are all on one side. If you're up by 80,000, they know they got to put 100,000 in. That's how they do it. And that's why they stopped the vote on election night in 2020 to count, and then in the middle of the night, interject whatever they needed to win. Well, nobody was watching. There were no witnesses. They stole it.
Right, and we saw that in Wisconsin, from Milwaukee
Pennsylvania.
County in 2020. We saw it in the other states as well, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, all had the same scenario. Election was stolen after Election Day. As you said, once you know the number you need, you just inject the ballots you need to win, and we've got to stop this. We have a national security crisis here.
Well, and the Supreme Court just allowed it, so you can't stop it, right? The Supreme Court said it's legal to count after Election Day. That was one of the all-time horrible decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. With a 6-3 conservative Republican advantage, we lost 5-4 because Roberts went the wrong way and Amy Coney Barrett went the wrong way. These people are idiots, or they're bought and paid for, one or the other, Garland, because who would ever support counting days after the election? They could have ended it right there. So now, are you allowed to? I don't even know what the law says. If the Supreme Court allows it, can you as a state turn it down? Can some individual state say, no, we won't allow counting after Election Day? Or because the Supreme Court allowed it, does that mean it's the law of the land and you can't undo it in any state?
Well, no, the state laws still take precedent, Wayne.
Okay.
So, for example, in Georgia, we do not allow any ballots to come in after Election Day, with the exception of the overseas and military, they get 3 additional days. I would argue that that's not necessary any longer. That's something that dates back 20 or 30 years when we didn't have technology to get ballots across from overseas. We don't have that problem today. So we need to fix that, and states can fix it. Some of them have already fixed it. We're halfway there, a little bit better. But we
So clear something up for me. So in 2020, you didn't have that law. That's a new law since 2020, because in 2020, they counted ballots long after Election Day, and you must have changed the law between then and now. Is that correct?
Well, that's a really interesting point, Wayne. So technically, they got around that by saying that the ballots were in and they have so many left to count. So what the law was supposed to say, and in fact, what the law did say in 2020 is that all the counties have to report the number of votes or number of ballots that they have left to count if they have not finished counting. Well, the counties reported their numbers. And as I mentioned before, they reported that they had finished, they had counted all their ballots. And in spite of this, the Secretary of State somehow came up with another 200,000 ballots that came in after that he alleged were still in the hopper, so to speak, that just had not been counted. So in other words, they've been received, but they have not been counted yet. So technically, you can count after Election Day, but you cannot receive a ballot after Election Day in Georgia unless it's an overseas or military.
It's funny as you say that, because what it strikes me as, to me, when people say, what's your proof, Wayne? What's your proof? No one ever has real proof, but you do have proof. You have common sense proof. The only people that have ever won after Election Day when losing on Election Day were Democrats. In the history of America, no Republican has ever been losing on Election Day and then counted ballots and come back to win 5 days later or 7 days later or 2 weeks later. Only Democrats. That's the only ones. And when someone interjects 200,000 ballots and you go, we don't know where they came from, it's the weirdest thing ever, and 200,000 ballots, it's never a victory for Republicans. It's only a victory for Democrats. Look at Minnesota. I remember when Norm Coleman was winning an election by like 200 votes for U.S. Senate, and Democrats found a box, Garland, of like prison votes, and it was like 300 votes to 0 against Norm Coleman, and he lost the election. Nobody ever finds a box with Republican votes. They only find a box late in the game with Democrat votes. Doesn't anyone find that funny?
I think it's a heck of a coincidence.
Right.
I mean, and in fact, it's a little bit too much to be a coincidence. So,
Exactly.
So the point is, we've got to stop this, and we've got to stop it one way or another. It is a national security emergency. If the Supreme Court doesn't want to do anything about it, and Congress doesn't want to do anything about it, it's still the right thing to do. I would hope that the president can basically achieve that with a national emergency declaration.
It's funny because President Trump addressed the nation a few weeks ago, and he announced that millions of declassified intelligence documents have been found. He revealed how U.S. elections have been compromised, continue to be unsecure. He talked about China specifically breached our voter rolls and took, I think it was like 250 million voter rolls. And, the only guy in America that's been talking about this nonstop is me. Nonstop, that I believe COVID was used by China to steal the 2020 election, and Democrats worked with them. I really believe that. I believe that China said, look, you want Trump out, we want Trump out, we got to destroy his economy first. So let's do that with COVID, and then we'll use COVID to scare people that they shouldn't come out and vote. They can vote by mail-in ballot, and everyone will vote by mail-in ballot with no voter ID. We'll interject millions and millions of fake ballots into the system, and next thing you know, Biden has 81 million votes, more than Obama ever got, more than Reagan ever got, more than Trump ever got, more than Clinton ever got, more than Obama ever got. It's the most ridiculous thing in history. He never campaigned. He hid in his basement in Delaware, and he got 81 million votes, and no Democrat before or since has ever come close. It was fraud.
Well, and he ran the campaign out of his basement. So if it was so successful, why didn't Kamala Harris run her campaign out of the basement?
We should run our campaigns out of the basement. It's so successful.
Yeah, exactly. But Wayne, so you mentioned China. There is corroborating evidence for what you're saying in these declassified intelligence documents. And that was the piece that just blew me away more than anything else, was the Chinese influence on our elections dating back to about 2018. And the declassified intelligence just lays out this incredible story about what they were doing. They had the 20,000 fake driver's licenses that were imported into around the country to get fake voter registrations. They hacked, bought, or stole 220 million voter records to mine the Americans' PII, their personal identifying information. And then, but then probably the most amazing thing of all to me was they had this massive election influence campaign going on using not only just social media, but
BLM.
BLM.
Black Lives Matter. That was all backed by China to try and create crisis and chaos and make Trump look bad, riots in the streets, unrest everywhere.
Well, exactly. They were using racism and everything they could to denigrate President Trump. And the intelligence documents go through all this. And it's absolutely stunning once you read them to see how massive an attempt that they were trying to implement to unseat President Trump in 2020 and beyond.
They are such traitors, and they're traitors today. Because you know what I said the other day on TV? It was one of my America's Top 10 Countdown, and one of my Final Four 2 weeks ago was that, again, my gut has never been wrong on TV. Whatever I say, people go, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, and it always comes true. Every single time, for years on TV. My gut says Democrats are working with Iran. I believe they're trying to prolong the Iran war. They're telling Iran, tell Trump you'll do a deal, and then get out of the deal, and then do a deal, and then get out of the deal, and keep the war going until the midterms. Make sure that you make Trump look bad. And they're passing along, I believe, classified information. Whatever they find out, they give to Iran, so Iran knows everything, every move we're going to make, so that Trump looks foolish and loses the war heading into the midterms. I really do believe they're complete traitors, and I think they sold out to China in 2020, and now they're helping Iran win the war. Or try to win the war. Obviously, Iran is not going to win the war, but they're helping them extend the war.
Yeah, and Wayne, it's not just the Democrats. Probably the most chilling thing in this all of the documents were that the U.S. intelligence officials were in the tank with the Chinese Communist government. They were conducting a massive cover-up of the Chinese influence into the 2020 election throughout the 2020, the year of 2020. And it was not just the CIA, which I had always thought was involved, but it was also FBI, massive FBI and NSA, and even the INR, the State Department's intelligence bureau as well. They were all in this conspiracy to prevent the President of the United States from knowing that the Chinese Communist Party was trying to rig the U.S. 2020 election.
Well, and listen, everybody's saying, everyone on our side is saying what you're saying, that the Chinese tried to rig 2020. They didn't try to rig it. They succeeded, Garland. They beat Trump, and they beat him by doing what you're saying. In every single state, Trump was ahead by huge margins, and then when we woke up the next morning, he was suddenly behind. Every vote that came in was 200,000, 300,000 to zero against Trump. It was an obvious steal. Anyone could see it. You'd have to be a moron. You know who's in on it? The media's in on it. The judges are in on it. All the liberal judges. I mean, it's so hard to defeat all these people. Everyone out there, they're all part of the deep state and the DC swamp. A friend of mine has a sister. His sister is one of the most important judges in America. She's in charge of a gigantic state, all the judges in their state, Garland. And he tells me, and again, I wouldn't say any names. I never want to compromise a friend, even though this person's a terrible person, his sister, but I'm not going to ever name a name and embarrass my friend. But she's a judge. She's in charge of all the judges in a state, and he says she's a lifelong Republican. And now she hates Trump with such a passion. There's something weird going on. All these people, whether they're Democrats, communists, or rhino Republicans, they have this obsessed hatred of Trump, like Glenn Close in that famous movie. They want to boil a bunny rabbit to defeat Trump. They all hate Trump so badly. It's like a sickness. And his sister is this important judge. Her whole life now is hating Trump. She's a lifelong Republican, but she hates Trump. It's so weird. In my opinion, all the judges are part of a government employees union. And that's what changes them all. They're all part of the government, which makes them part of the deep state and the DC swamp, and they want their pensions to be bigger and bigger. They're all against the people. They only care about Big Brother. They want the government to get bigger and bigger. And if Trump wants to cut government, they hate him, and they're obsessed with hating him. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, and we have had enough corrupt decisions from judges in our lawsuits to prove that that's true, Wayne. It's just awful. I mean, the judges, to me, I think that's probably the thing that blew me away also as much. I never realized when I got into this and filed a few cases years ago to try to ensure honest elections, I never realized how corrupt the judges are in America. The whole judicial system is
filthy.
Filthy.
Disgusting. Filthy, disgusting. Dirty, filthy, disgusting. I think bribes, I got to tell you, I don't think it's just they're mentally nuts and communist. I honestly think the only reason a judge would take the side again and again of illegal aliens who murder and rape American citizens is because they're on the payroll of China or they're on the payroll of the Mexican drug cartel. And I know there's nothing I'm saying is nutty because people have already forgotten. If you watched old gangster movies from the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, every judge in New York was on the mob's payroll. Every police captain in New York was on the mob's payroll. Well, the money that the Mexican drug cartel makes and the money that China makes off of illegal drugs getting through the border is so big, it makes the old mob look like a joke. They're talking about, hundreds of billions of dollars a year. You don't think they're bribing judges? Of course they're bribing judges. And they're bribing police chiefs and police sheriffs. Of course. And they're bribing Democrat politicians. There is so much money in drug trafficking and human trafficking and child sex trafficking and pedophilia that I think they've just bribed the whole Democrat Party, all the judges, and a lot of rhino Republicans too. They're on the take.
Exactly, and it's. I know you said this before, but it's basically a uniparty.
Right.
The machines have elected the judges, or selected them would be a better word. So they're compromised. And basically what we end up is Trump going against the entire uniparty, which includes, almost all the Democrats and quite a few Republicans. So it's an uphill battle, but he's got the people behind him, and he's been strong all along. So I'm hoping that he will really continue to be strong and come down hard on and to solve this election integrity crisis that we've got going on in America right now.
Well, last thing I'll bring up, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm the guy who invented no tax on overtime, and I'm the guy who invented no tax on Social Security and brought up to Trump, and he adopted them, and they helped him win the election, and then they're the biggest part of his accomplishments so far in his second term of his big, beautiful bill. No tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. I invented those. So I've invented a new idea. I'm a very creative guy. I'm a businessman, and I keep coming up with solutions. I invented national security emergency for elections. And others are talking about it now, but I don't know if they're acknowledging that it was Wayne Root's invention, that you can't pass the SAVE Act. It's never going to pass. You're never going to get them to throw out the filibuster. I've said this for 6 months. It's unpassable. It will not pass. Too many rhinos, never make it happen. And even if you did pass it, it does nothing to stop many of the things that cause stolen elections, like mail-in ballots with no voter ID and like machine voting. We need paper ballots. You can do a national security emergency for elections, and only a president can declare it, and then they can't take it to court. There are no legal challenges. The Supreme Court ruled in 1983. You can only upend it or overturn it with 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress if a president declares a national security emergency. So he needs to declare a national security emergency for elections. And I believe from my contacts, the White House, he's going to do it by late August, early September. And Democrats are not going to be able to stop it. And it's going to give us proof of citizenship, photo ID, mail-in ballots are going to be severely, strictly limited, and hopefully paper ballots. It might be too late for it, I don't know. But I think it'll include no machines, paper ballots. That's the only way we can save the midterms, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you too. And I just want to emphasize that last point is that we have got to ensure that we can count the votes correctly and accurately. The machines are counting them. Logic and accuracy testing cannot detect malware-based fraud. The audits that most states are doing are fake. They don't really work. There's no transparency. They secretly count the votes with secret proprietary software, then they secretly preserve the ballots. All that secrecy has to end. It has to be out in front. And then may the best man or woman or party win. Whoever wins won, and everybody knows it, and they can accept the results if they can prove it to themselves. So that's where we've got to be in future American elections.
Our only chance is patriots like Garland Favorito. He's the co-founder of Voter GA, as in Georgia, leading the election integrity issue in Georgia for over 20 years. Brave man, puts himself right on that line. Career IT professional. His website, voterga.org, voterga.org. Garland, we appreciate everything you do. Thank God you're fighting for us in Georgia. We need Garland Favorito in all 50 states. We don't have it, but I'm sure there's a few other people similar to you, but there's only one Garland. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. And our volunteers are great. That's what makes us great.
We need to clone you. We need a clone of Garland in all 50 states. I pray we can make it happen, and we get a national security emergency, too, so we can win the midterms, or Trump's presidency is basically neutered. All right, that's it. Thank you, Garland. Hey, Wayne Allyn Root, America Speaks. You call in and we talk about it. Your opinions, your comments, your questions. How do you call in? 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-7668. The show airs at midnight, East Coast time, 9 p.m. Pacific, but we tape it at 6 p.m. East Coast time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So you call in at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I talk to you, and it airs that night at midnight. The phone number again, 800-347-ROOT. That number is 24/7. You can leave voicemails. We play your voicemails on the air as well.
Hey, Wayne, what do you think about Obama?
He was a communist, socialist, Marxist radical.
I agree.
Or you can email me, wayneroot@gmail.com. I'll read your email live on the air with your comments or questions. America Speaks. All right, one of my favorite guests ever, Allyn Pariser's with us, an advocate for GreatPatriotStore.com. He's been a customer for 36 years, almost 4 decades. My wife and I, Cindy, do much of our monthly shopping now at GreatPatriotStore.com. It's an alternative to wokeness. It's run by pro-American conservatives. USA Today voted it one of the best stores in America in 2025. And with all these communists taking over, Allyn Pariser, New York, Seattle, Chicago, promising cheap government groceries or free, you need to buy American. Tell us why.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of our competitors have completely lost it. They've gone totally woke over the years, but our founding axiom is really very simple. For 41 years, we've been focused on manufacturing exceptional products at reasonable prices, made by Americans here in America for Americans. And we've expanded. We have manufacturing plants across the United States, distribution plants across the United States. And not only can Americans get the best quality, the best price from Great Patriot Store, in most cases, we can deliver to your front door even faster than Amazon.
So prices are high everywhere. Procter & Gamble and Amazon are considering price increases. How do the prices at Great Patriot Store compare to national brands?
Well, we've got hundreds of products, Wayne, but if you just take a look at one like our laundry detergent, we make it, it's patented, and it's literally almost fractions, almost half the price of our competitors. And you get 96 loads of wash. It's the best value. There's no toxic chemicals in any of our products whatsoever. And if you're looking to lose some of those holiday pounds, you don't need the shots with the LPG-1 drugs. We have something called berberine. Nature's Ozempic is what people are calling it. It's legit, it works, and we've got it at a better price than any of our competitors.
All right, we've got just seconds to go, so be quick. I love your beef. I eat your sirloin and your New York steak all the time. It's kind of breakfast and lunch for me all the time. Why is your beef superior?
Made in America, never, ever any hormones, ever any antibiotics, no mRNA. It's all prime. It's the best quality that you can find at the best price, free shipping, and it's the best beef on the planet.
All right, to get your free gift, that's right, a free gift, purchase the beef and other great American products. You got to be a member. Go to GreatPatriotStore.com, fill out the form. One of their conservative team members will contact you right away. GreatPatriotStore.com. Happy New Year. Thank you, Allyn.
Thank you, Wayne. God bless.
All right, Nikki Ballou is now officially with us. He is the co-author of two of my books, The Great Patriot Protest and Boycott Book and The Great Patriot Boycott Book. Nikki, how are you?
I'm blessed and grateful. Good to be with you, Wayne. How are you?
I'm good. Here's my problem, Nikki. I'm so good at debating anything in the whole world, name the topic, especially if it's domestic, anything in America that's going wrong. I've got lots of strong opinions, and they're good opinions, and I have lots of good solutions. I have no answer for Iran, okay, other than to bomb them and finish the job. But we're never going to win the midterms. They're getting too close. Trump's going to lose everything if he bombs them and does what I think he should do. It's not going to end that quickly in time for the midterms. It's a real conundrum. Nobody knows what to do. Half my party doesn't even want us there. They never wanted the war. They don't want us there now. They don't care about Iranians getting killed. They only care about American prices being high. They're sick of gas and grocery prices. So they want Trump to get us out. I think his only way out is to finish the job and bomb them to hell. And bombing may not work either. No war's ever been won without boots on the ground. And no one will accept boots on the ground. So there's no answer to this, Nikki. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, absolutely I have an answer. It's a straightforward answer, Wayne, and it's an answer that's going to work really, really well. Look, the Iranian people, as you know, rose up against their oppressors in January, but they had no weapons and they were slaughtered in the streets by the tens of thousands. Right now, the regime is weaker than it's ever been. The United States has bombed their military capability and degraded it significantly. What America needs to do is hook up with Mossad, which has lots of assets on the ground, and start getting weapons into the hands of ordinary Iranians. You get about 500,000 to 1 million Iranians under arms. They'll overthrow this regime. You won't need American boots on the ground. It'll be bloody. There'll be a lot of dead people. However, the war will be fought by Iranians to overthrow the Arab Islamic Republic oppressors that they have. Once these guys are gone, Wayne, here's what I need you to understand. And here's what I really want you to get across to the president next time you talk to him. Iran is the world's oldest continuous nation state. It's been around for 5,800 years. There's national cohesion there. This isn't Iraq. This isn't going to turn into sectarian, people killing each other the way it did in Iraq. It's not. Secondly, there is someone out there who has a proven pedigree of being pro-American and a proven family pedigree of keeping stability in the Middle East. The Shah's son. Because the Shah did that. And this man is as pro-American as his father was. The Shah said when he was leaving, he told Jimmy Carter, if I go, Iran goes. If Iran goes, the Middle East goes. If the Middle East goes, there'll be terror all over the West. And he was right. That's what happened. What you need to do is kick out the Islamists, which the Iranian people will do if you arm them, and then support Reza Pahlavi in coming into power in a transitional phase and watch Iran become a bulwark of stability. The spigot gets turned off for all the terror groups over there. Qatar is going to pull back because Iran is a much bigger country than Qatar. If it starts acting and saying, hey, you can't do this, they're going to listen because they listened to the Shah when he said that. And there's going to be a new golden age of peace in the Middle East, which means a lot of the Islamic terror that's been happening all over the world is going to disappear. Disappear. My friend, this is legacy building stuff for the president. Now, if he thinks he can't do this before the midterms, keep this on a slow boil until the midterms are done, win the midterms. A month later, put all the weapons into the hands of Iranians on the ground, let them overthrow these bastards, and support Reza Pahlavi publicly to be the next ruler of Iran. Make a nationally televised speech. Talk about the history of Iran under the Pahlavis. Talk about how they kept stability and peace in the Middle East. Talk about how they were America's best friend in the world. And talk about how the son of the king is the man whose name is on the lips of the Iranian people. And we do this. This is going to be righteous. President Trump will be remembered as the man who ended Islamic terror for generations to come.
You know, I can't argue with you. I just don't know if any of this is as easy as you're making it. We're talking about it, but doing
it's not easy.
Nikki, doing it is very difficult. First of all, you drop the arms in the hands of them, and it gets all seized by the Iranian government, or you drop it in the arms of the Kurds. My understanding is we already tried dropping in the arms of the Kurds, and they were supposed to overthrow the regime, and the Kurds just kept the weapons and said no thanks. So it's not quite that easy. What happens when you drop the weapons and it's the regime that picks up the weapons and kills the people? I don't think it's that easy to arm the people. I think it takes time. None of this, you know what else isn't easy? Winning the midterms. Right now, we're headed for a loss. We're headed for an absolute loss unless Trump takes my idea of a national security emergency, which, as of yesterday, when I was standing next to him, he didn't even know what I was talking about. So that's not a good sign. But he did tell his political director to call me, and I just got the call right before the show. So hopefully I can educate him about a national security emergency. But I thought he already knew about it, and clearly he did not yesterday. If he doesn't do it, we don't win the midterms. If we don't win the midterms, nobody's helping Iran. It's all over. No, so it's crazy. The people's lives are in the hands of whether we win the midterm or not. And the people of Iran probably don't realize how difficult it is to win the midterm. Historically, it's like zero chance that the party in power wins the midterm. So we got a lot of problems here. And also, we're not going to win the midterm if gas stays where it is. And so, you know, he'd have to cut a peace deal now. Gas has to drop dramatically, and then he'd have to go ahead and try and win the war after the midterm. None of this is easy, Nikki. That's all I'm telling you. It's not that you don't have good ideas, but it's not easy.
Wayne, none of this is easy. And
nothing ever is that's good, right?
Nothing ever is that's good. The Kurds did keep the weapons. That's true. But there's a lot of Mossad assets on the ground in Iran. And if you really decide this is the battle that you're going to fight, and you start working with the Mossad intelligence agency assets in Iran, you're going to be able to get weapons into the hands of the right people in Iran. The regime does not have the ability to seize all the weapons. Mossad has been running circles around Iranian intelligence. One of the past Iranian Islamic Republic presidents, right? Ahmadinejad,
yes.
He was a Mossad asset, which blew me away because that dude was a hardliner.
Yes.
So, you know, those guys have got good assets on the ground. There's things that can be done. It could be a long slog. But I'm telling you what, Wayne, here's the truth. The Iranian people hate this regime. The Iranian people want it gone. This is not a popular regime. If it was a popular regime, it's a whole different story, right?
But Nikki, you understand America's history, right? The Afghanistans wanted their regime gone, and then America comes and gets rid of it, and we become best friends with the Afghanistanis, and then we abandon them, and anybody who helped us gets killed. So, you know, and their families get wiped out, and their children get wiped out. Yeah. America abandons everybody. We help you for a little while, and then there's public pressure, too much spending on military, and inflation is up, and we got to get out, and we cut, and we run, and then everybody who helped us dies. You know, I don't know if you could say
but
we
Iran
intentionally do any things. Say that again. It's not Afghanistan.
Iran is not Afghanistan.
Because?
Because Iran has had this 5,800-year history of national cohesion, and there are all kinds of sectarian groups in Afghanistan that hate each other. This has been something that's been obvious for centuries. If you look at the Reagan era, right, the Mujahideen that were fighting the Soviets were fighting the Soviets on the one hand and fighting each other the rest of the time. That's not happening in Iran. You know, the Iranian people want a future that's glorious because they've had it before. People remember what it was like in the time of the Pahlavis. Even people who weren't born see videos of that time. They want it. There's a cohesion there that's going to allow Iran to prosper and move forward in a way that Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, that, let's be honest, are made-up states in many ways, never could and never would be able to do.
What year was the Shah deposed? What year was that? Like
1979, February 1979.
Right.
And
so I was like 18 years old then, and I didn't know anything about world affairs, and I didn't pay any attention to what was going on. So educate me. In the 1960s and 70s, Iran was very modern, right? I think the women wore miniskirts and high heels, and it was a very modern, westernized place. Were they not enemies with Israel back then? Were they friends with Israel back then?
No, they were good buddies, man. Israel and Iran have been historical allies, biblical allies, man. The Shah
Didn't know that.
Was friends with Golda Meir. The Shah was friends with David Ben-Gurion, brother. The Shah was friends with Menachem Begin. Okay? Moshe Dayan and the Shah admired one another, my friend. 1,000%. The Shah
the Iranian people do not have a history of hatred of Jews. They don't have that history.
They don't. They don't. Just their leaders. Just the Arab Islamists that have been occupying Iran. Those are the ones who hate them. But the average Iranian has no issue with Jews. We're not like the Arabs whatsoever. And this is the thing the president's got to understand. So when J.D. Vance goes and says to him, this is going to be another Iraq, say, J.D., brother, go study your history before you make foolish statements like that and make you sound ignorant.
Right. Well, the problem is most of America is ignorant, and they just believe whatever someone tells them. So it's a real problem, and we just I think everyone's paralyzed. No one really knows what to do. I think the real truth is, and on this show, I've been right, Nikki, like 99.99% of everything I ever guess or predict. But I was wrong on this one because I really thought, as I'm sure Trump thought, that we'd win the Iran war in a matter of weeks. I thought in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe worst case 4 weeks, we'd bomb them into submission, they'd wave the white flag, and it would be over. Nobody thought they could last this long while we degrade them so badly, but they don't care. They just keep fighting. Nobody thought that. So it's been a problem here. Let me ask you another quick question, then I'll let you go. In America, I am stunned by the amount of outward Jew hating going on. And Israel hating, and I love when people who hate Israel always say the two don't have anything to do with one another. I can hate Israel's government without hating Jews. And they don't, again, you talk about ignorant people. Nikki, they don't understand the history of Jews. The entire history of the Jewish people is persecution and death and people taking all of our assets away from us and enslaving us. Jewish people feel the pain in our blood, in our cells, of governments who persecute us. When you attack Israel, you're attacking us. It is personal. You can't attack one without attacking the other. I'm sorry to tell you, but so in America, I'm shocked by how many people are outwardly saying what they're saying against Jews in Israel. Is that all going on in Canada too?
Yep. Unfortunately, it is. There are strong defenders of Israel, like, myself, like Ezra Levant and others. But unfortunately, the Canadian federal government is led by some feckless quasi-communists who are basically fellow travelers of these modern Nazis, my friend. And it's a very, very sad thing. One of the reasons it's important that President Trump and the Republican Party win the midterms is because the Democrat Party right now in the United States has been taken over by a bunch of modern Jew-hating Nazis. And if these guys come into power, they're going to do everything in their power to stamp down the Jewish population of the United States. It's important for posterity that we defeat these evil bastards.
If you watch my America's Top 10 Countdown or this podcast, you know that I say it all the time. There is a merger in America going on. It's not a merger of United Airlines and Delta. It's a merger of communism and radical Islam. I've never seen anything like it. And it's so weird because, in this fellow travelers group you're talking about, you have gays who, if they understood, they'd all be thrown off a roof and killed in an Islamic. It just makes no sense that a gay would be a communist who hates Jews. It makes no sense.
But Wayne, this alliance of the red and the black, which is Islamism and communism, happened in Iran in the 70s. It's what overthrew the Shah. The Shah spoke about it all the time. And he said, it's coming to the West. Guys, if you let it succeed here in Canada, in Iran, it'll come to the West. And he was right. He was right. He was prescient. So the way you're going to kill it off is you kill it off in modern Iran. You kill off this regime, and then it dies everywhere else. That's what's got to happen, Wayne. The president needs to understand that. Get me an hour with the president. I'll make him see the light on this. He's a smart guy, and he'll see it. He'll understand it once somebody gives him the facts.
It's definitely going on. There's a merger of Islam and communism. And, I mentioned gays being bizarre in that fellow travelers group, but also Jews. I mean, let's face it, Jews are always ultra liberal in every country, not just America. I'm sure you've seen it in Canada. The Jews are probably the biggest part of your liberal party out there, what's called the Labor. I don't know. What's the liberal party called? The ultra
They're
Democrat.
called the Liberal Party. They're called
Liberal
the Liberal
Party.
Party.
All right. They're called Liberal Party. Okay, here it's Democrat Party. There it's Liberal Party. But there's always Jews. They're always liberal. They're always far left. And yet they're now fellow travelers with communists that hate Jews and Islamists that want to murder Jews. It makes no sense, and the gays make no sense. None of it makes sense. We have Asians in America that are the hardest working people in the world, and they're all voting Democrat, and they don't realize they came from communist China. You don't realize they're going to kill you, enslave you, and kill you? None of this makes any sense. But we'll try and make sense of it. I hope Trump finishes the job, because it's very obvious, Nikki, no matter what I want, even though I want to win the midterms, even though I want this to be over so we can win the midterms, you know what the truth is? You can't cut a deal with these people. You can't.
Never.
You can never negotiate with terrorists. So it's going to turn eventually where Trump has to send the biggest attack since World War II. It has to happen. No matter how many times he postpones it, it has to happen. There's no other way to defeat them. But you wouldn't believe how many Republicans in America are saying, we don't want to defeat them. They've done nothing to us. Leave them alone.
Bah! That's the most ridiculous, asinine statement ever. They've been killing Americans since 1979. They've been sending money to proxies that have been murdering Americans since 79. CIA Station Chief Bill Buckley was murdered by Hezbollah assets funded by the Islamic Republic. Colonel Higgins was murdered by assets funded by the Islamic Republic. All the roadside bombs in Afghanistan and Iraq were funded by the IRGC and the Islamic Republic. All of the terror in Europe has been funded by the Islamic Republic. They've been at war with you since 1979. You've been just sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich, pretending it's not happening, but they're still killing you. They're still killing your children. They're raping your wives, and they're trying to destroy everything you stand for. Wake up. They're the more powerful and evil side of the Red-Black Alliance, because when the Red-Black Alliance, if it ever gets into power in the United States, the Islamists are going to kill all the Marxists, because that's what they did in Iran.
And it goes on everywhere. I mean, let's face it. Look at Nigeria and Africa. In Nigeria, every time you hear about mass murder, it's Islamists murdering black Christian people in Nigeria, or going to their schools and raping and murdering all the girls, or going to their schools and kidnapping 200 girls and making them their slaves and their wives, even though some of the girls are 9 years old. It goes on everywhere in the world. Islam is a cancer. It's a cult and it's a cancer, and radical Islam is the worst thing in the history of the world other than communism. And now they're all kissing cousins and best friends and brothers and sisters. It's a disaster, and we've got to fight it with everything we've got. All right, Nikki, we appreciate you coming on. You always educate me and strengthen my spine as to what needs to be done, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, I'm Wayne Allyn Root for Vertical Research Advisory, VRA, Kip Herridge's one-of-a-kind global investment and economic newsletter. Listen up. Trump is in charge. The glory days are here.
Growth rates are only going to grow from here.
This is your 4-year window to make a fortune and set up your retirement for the rest of your life. Kip wins whether the markets are up or down, whether the economy is up or down.
We set our folks up for long-term success.
For 21 years, Kip's been a friend, as well as my personal financial advisor. During that time, he's beaten the markets 86% of the time, while the average Wall Street money manager loses to the market 90% of the time. Now Kip is predicting a new golden age for the economy. Let Kip prove it to you for free. Kip's offering his daily VRA investment letter completely free for 2 weeks. Free for 2 weeks. Try it for 2 weeks. I know you'll stay for life. Join now at VRAinsider.com. Hey, Wayne Allyn Root, America Speaks. You call in and we talk about it. Your opinions, your comments, your questions. How do you call in? 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-ROOT. 800-347-7668. The show airs at midnight, East Coast time, 9 p.m. Pacific, but we tape it at 6 p.m. East Coast time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So you call in at 6 p.m. Eastern, and I talk to you, and it airs that night at midnight. The phone number again, 800-347-ROOT. That number is 24/7. You can leave voicemails. We play your voicemails on the air as well.
Hey, Wayne, what do you think about Obama?
He was a communist, socialist, Marxist radical.
I agree.
Or you can email me, wayneroot@gmail.com. I'll read your email live on the air with your comments or questions. America Speaks. All right, Wayne Allyn Root. Joining me is Silvano De Genova, owner of Tangible Investments. Sil, I've known you forever, and I've been buying gold forever and silver forever and rare coins forever. It's great to have you with us. With the Iran deal done, how do you see the economy and inflation moving in the near future?
Well, nothing's really changed. We're in an inflationary environment. The government deficits are through the roof. The reality is that oil prices may come down, but inflation is going to be with us long term.
How does inflation impact the demand for gold and silver?
Well, the more inflation there is, the more demand there's going to be for gold. People want to get away from their paper assets. They want to hold something that is going to hold its value or appreciate in an inflationary times. And gold and hard assets are the only real thing that are an insurance policy against this type of inflation. And the reality is we may still have rampant inflation. And we saw that under a different administration, and this one's doing okay to try and buckle it down. But long term, government spending is not going to stop. The world government spending is not going to stop. And that's going to be good for gold and hard assets into perpetuity at this point.
And world debt is not going to stop, and America's debt is not going to stop. It just keeps getting higher and higher. How should buyers of gold and silver know which gold products to buy and what to avoid?
Well, they certainly don't want to buy products that trade or are being offered at big premiums. If you're going to buy gold as your hedge, you want it as close to the spot price of gold as possible. Right now, we have an anomaly. You can actually buy some fairly rare coins at no premium or very little premium to just bullion coins, like $20 gold pieces that are 100 years old. We're selling them at $50 over the melt price. Okay. Or you can buy bullion coins from us at a very small premium over the spot price. There's a lot of gimmicks out there, and a lot of companies selling certified gold coins at big premiums and saying they're a gold investment. Well, they're not. I mean, you're going to have to overcome their markup.
If you want gold, silver, precious metals, or rare coins from a real firm with real credibility and honest pricing, call Sil. Tangible Investments is Silvano's company, 888-330-4351, or go to the website they created just for my fans, rootforgold.com. Tell them War sent you.